Hi, my name is Sam and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's soft-spoken video, I want to do something very different from what I've done so far. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that I am/was a teacher of English as a foreign language, and I have a YouTube channel where I teach that, and I will link it in the description just in case you're interested. And today I want to bring you into the world of language teaching and learning, and we're going to do an English grammar test. But before we do that, we've just passed 300 subscribers, and I just wanted to thank you for your support, for watching my videos, for commenting and for liking all my videos. My channel is very new, it's only 1.5 months old, but I'm very pleased and happy with how things are going. And if you like this video, it would be amazing if you could just give it a thumbs up, and if you could subscribe to the channel down below. Now back to English. This is not just for non-native speakers, this is also for native speakers. In fact, I love, as a native speaker of Italian and English, I love seeing what I do in English and Italian subconsciously. And as a teacher, I love teaching native speakers of English because I love showing them how their brain works and why they say what they say, because obviously when you speak in your native language, you think about the concepts, but you don't think about the grammar, the vocabulary, the pronunciation. It all comes out naturally. So I love showing that to native speakers. And this is not a simulation, this is not a role play, this is real life. If you want to take an English language test to assess your level, this is what happens in real life. I don't know how familiar you are with levels of languages, but globally we mark your level from A1, which is beginner, then we have A2, B1, B2, C1 and C2, which is called proficiency, which is the highest level that you can achieve, which is almost like native level. Now this does not include accent. If you have a specific accent from the country that you're from, that doesn't affect the score as long as you are understandable. So you can have a C2 level with a Spanish, Italian, French, German accent. That does not affect the overall score. What makes you a C2 is your great command of grammar, of vocabulary, and the test is divided into different parts. You have reading, writing, speaking and listening, and in the reading you also have grammar elements, which is what we're going to do together. Now the grammar part for C2, this is what we're going to do. It's the level C2 is divided into 4 parts. We're just going to do part 3 and 4 because 1 and 2 are slightly boring. Now I know ASMR is all about relaxing and going to sleep, but part 1 and 2 might just put you to sleep for the wrong reasons. So we're going to do 3 and 4, and maybe in the future I'll do another video for part 1 and part 2. Now this might excite your brain a little bit, which is not exactly what ASMR is all about, but again I thought it might be something interesting for people who are not in the field to know. So this is part 3, and I'm going to look down because I'm going to look at my phone. Now I was going to originally film myself writing the answers with my hands on a piece of paper, but logistically I couldn't quite make it work. Also, I didn't want to have a faceless video just because it's not something that I would naturally gravitate towards, so I wanted my face on screen for you to connect to me a little bit more. So I will type everything on my laptop, and then I will superimpose that part next to my face in this video, but I am looking down so I can look at my phone where I have the test. So as you can see, for part 3, the rubric says that basically we need to transform the prompts that we have in order to fit them into the text. Now there are some gaps and some prompts. Let's look at example number 0. So it says power napping is and then it gives you effect. Now effect is a noun, and what you need to do is insert this word into the text, but it needs to grammatically match the situation. So effect is a noun, but because we have strategy in the text, you can't say power napping is an effect strategy. You need to transform the noun effect into an adjective, which is effective. Power napping is an effective strategy. So let's start with number 1 for us, 17 in the test, because this is part 3. So power napping is an effective strategy. It involves taking an intense sleep, which dramatically improves. Then we have alert. The word that we need to focus on is alert. Alert. And we need to transform this into a noun. And we say alertness, alertness. It involves taking an intense sleep, which dramatically improves alertness, making it especially useful for those with a demanding schedule, such as mothers of babies or travelling business. And the next word that we need to transform is execute. Execute. And we have executives. 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 However, the conditions must be right, and practice is required to, what would you put? We have maximum as a prompt. In this case, we need a verb in the text. So we say maximize, maximize, maximize. You can spell it with an S in British English. Sorry about the car. Or with a Z in American, but the pronunciation doesn't change. Maximize. Let's move on to the second paragraph. To prevent, and the prompt is orientate. Orientate. So this changes quite a little bit, and we say to prevent disorientation. Disorientation. It's a noun. Disorientation. On awakening, power naps should last about 25 minutes. Falling asleep so quickly takes practice, but is in fact a habit which is easy to acquire. We need to insert something relate to compare, compare, compare. And we have comparatively, comparatively, comparatively easy to acquire. Initially, it is more important to relax for a while than actually fall asleep. And power napping is not a good idea if you find it difficult to wake up at the time. The prompt is design, design, design. And the solution is designated, designated, designated time. Last paragraph. Finally, power napping should not be confused with a kind of dozing that can... Our prompt is company, which is a noun, and we need a verb here. So we say accompany, accompany, accompany. A sensation of overwhelming sleepiness during the day, which simply represents the despair, 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 is our prompt, and we need to say desperation experienced in the attempt to compensate for a poor sleep routine. Desperation, desperation is the last word. So how did you do? Let me know in the comments how many you got right. Now I hope you're ready for part 4. Part 4 is the last part of the grammar section, and as you can see, you have a sentence that you need to rewrite and rephrase, keeping the same meaning, and you need to use the word that is given as a prompt. You must include it in the way you rephrase the sentence, and you need to use between 3 and 8 words, including the one given. Let's look at the example. Do you mind if I watch you while you paint? You can rewrite this with the word objection and say, do you have any objection to my watching you while you paint? Now, this is a very unnatural rewording of this sentence, but it's advanced English, and to be honest, it's the most unnatural of all the sentences here. Actually, the ones for the actual test are a little bit more realistic, but you get the idea. And usually there is more than one option for these sentences, as long as you include the word given and as long as you use between 3 and 8 words. So let's have a look at 25. The meaning that we need to convey is it's impossible to predict how long it will take to do this job. The word that we must use is telling, 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 telling. And one of the options is there is no telling how long this job will take. If you can think of slightly different options, let me know in the comments. Let's have a look at 26. Not many people buy that particular product these days. The word that we must use is demand. Personally, I would go for the easiest version. Also remember that if you do these tests in real life, you have a time limit. So you need to be very careful with your time management. So keep it as simple as you can, so you can move on to the next task as fast as you can. My instinctive option would be there is little demand for that particular product these days. Other options given are there is very little demand, or there isn't much demand, or there isn't much of a demand for that particular product. So all of these options are correct as long as you have the word demand and as long as you have between 3 and 8 words. Next one. For me, his skill as a negotiator was most impressive. The prompt is how. And I would say I was most impressed by how skilled a negotiator he was. I was most impressed by how skilled a negotiator he was. There are a few other options here, so let me know if you can think of any. Next one. Nobody expected Natalia to resign. Nobody expected Natalia to resign. The prompt is came. I would say Natalia's resignation came as a shock or as a surprise to everyone. If you want to be more sophisticated, you can also say Natalia's resigning came as a total, complete shock to everyone. Up to you. Let me scroll up and look at the last 2 sentences. 29 goes, the area was completely devoid of vegetation. The area was completely devoid of vegetation. The prompt is whatsoever. 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 And my personal solution is there was no vegetation whatsoever in the area. There was no vegetation whatsoever in the area. And now let's look at the last one. When he was at his most successful, the president had enormous influence. When he was at his most successful, the president had enormous influence. The prompt is height, and I think there is only one option that we can use, and it is, at the height of his success, the president had enormous influence. At the height of his success, at the height of his success, the president had enormous influence. And that concludes part 3 and part 4 of our English exam. Let me know in the comments how well you did. If you're a non-native speaker of English, but especially if you are a native speaker of English. I have to be completely honest. As an English teacher, I do not specialise in exam preparation. So these kind of exercises are not exactly what I would train my students in. Although, I teach general advanced English, so I would expect my students to be able to do this. But for a C2 level, which is the most, the highest and the most proficient, I was expecting something slightly harder, and I might be biased. But I don't know. I was a bit surprised when I read this mock exam, because I did expect it to be harder, because C2 as a level has a terrible reputation for being hard. And don't get me wrong, I think the writing, the listening, and potentially the reading are harder than the grammar, but the grammar part is fairly doable and manageable, I would say. But let me know in the comments, and let me know if you've ever taken this exam, how difficult you found it. I hate exams because I panic. I like creating them as a teacher. I like correcting them, but I hate doing them and taking them. But yes, let me know if you want to see more of these, so we can do a few more in the future. And for now, thank you for watching, and